Hello everybody and welcome to another video. This has got to be my most ambitious conversion yet. So everybody, I am going to plan to convert my very own 30k Salamander's Praetor using the Praetor with the sword arm from the Age of Darkness box set and the Primaris Salamander's character, this guy. So it's a pretty intense kind of conversion. Not really intense, but it's quite complicated. These kits aren't compatible, so the fact that you're seeing this video means that it actually worked. Trust me, I run into a few problems, but without my waffling, let's flip this camera and jump in, and I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it the best as I can. Bye. So here we have the Age of Darkness Praetor with the sword. And this is going to be what I'm going to be the bulk and the main part of the conversion. You've got like the back and the front chest piece, so it's going to be, this is what I'm going to be working off. And this is the Salamander character from 40k, the Primaris Salamander guy, and there's a couple of parts here, especially that cloak, that is what I'm going to be using. So first off, I'm going to start clipping off the sort of the back and the sort of main legs on the Praetor model, as well as the chest piece and the loincloth. This loincloth will be removed later on and swapped out for the Primaris Salamander version. Here I'm taking the Drake scale cloak, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to use this kit and really incorporate it, because it gets that that big Drake scale mantle that I can use, which I also get a special item for my Legion. Also taking the front chest piece because I want that loincloth. So starting up with the Primaris loincloth, it comes with the bit of the Primaris armor on it. So carefully clipping this off and just taking a piece off at a time to get it as close to the fabric as I can, and then I'll use my craft knife, quite a sharp blade. So if you are a child, make sure you get an adult to do this, because you know, safety first, and just watch what you're doing and try to take off as much as you can with the clippers before going in with the knife. Just clean up that part and then you're good to go. Yeah, don't do what I just did there. So here's the back, and this is where I'm going to run into problems because I didn't think this out properly, and in hindsight I would have not done what I'm about to do, which is to cut this part off. And the reason why is I actually open myself up to quite a few problems later on in the build, where if I'd have shaped the cloak around this body rather than try to shape this sort of from the waist, the legs into the Primaris body, it would have been a lot easier and a lot more simpler conversion, which it turned out to be a bit of a mess. But it worked, but it still was a bit of a mess. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and yeah, but as you can see, I've cut it all down and cleaned it all up all the way down to the belt, and I also removed that leather belt off the back of the armor, the rear armor plates. So here is the Primaris chest piece, and I want this loincloth, so I'm coming in with my clippers and I'm just cutting off quite high, and there's like at least a piece of plastic on the inside, so just staying above that so it just comes off quite easily, and then I'm going to use my knife to clear up the part. Once it's all cleaned up, I'm just going to get that last little bit of a rim of the armor off the top of it, and then it'll be cleaned and cut into shape so it'll fit where I want it to fit. Just be ultra careful with those sharp knives. And here I'm going to be removing the loincloth from the Praetor model so I can switch it out with the Salamander loincloth from the Primaris character. Clearing up any more lines or sort of areas there where it's attached to the frame while I'm doing it. And once it's all cut off, I'm going to need to put that into the gap that I've created. So a little bit more adjusting and cleaning on this part so it fits nicely. So back out with the knife. Remember just to take small parts and dry fit it continuously until you're happy, and then once you're happy with it, you'll be able to get the glue out and get that glued into place. So now that I'm happy, out comes the glue, a little bit of plastic glue, and then just get that glued in, and it'll look so good. And this is one of the parts of the conversion I'm really happy with. So after a little bit of trying and testing, I had to clean out a lot of the inside of the groin area of this model so the loincloth would fit onto these legs. So that's been glued into place and I'm all good. So this is a bit of a jump. So there was a lot of toing and throwing off camera here, and as you can see, the back part of the neck area had been attached, and because I realized that I actually needed it, and now I'm coming in with the Primaris arm, and this is where I've started to get in problems because there's this really big void at the back. So I'm using what plastic I have to get that connected, and I'm using this little gap here at the hip to put in the little flame tank so it kind of incorporates itself into the armor. So that's it done, and it looks pretty good, so leaving that to dry for a little bit. And this is me now cleaning up a little bit of the cape that comes up and over his shoulder and attaches to the cape at the back. You can see the cape in the background where I've cleaned it all off in the back, in the inside, rather than keep the main body part. So a little bit of dry fitting just to make sure that it's correct. The model hadn't fully dried, so I had to be really ultra careful with this. And this is probably the trickiest part, was to getting this bit to work. So once I'd got it on and glued in, you'll see the holes at the back of the body, and this is where keeping that back part would have been a lot better. You can see that hole there, which I've created. So when you've got a hole, the best thing to do is get out your milliput. This is a milliput and green stuff mix, so it allows me to get both parts. So if I need to cut away or file anything, I can. And I'm getting my clay shaper tools, and I'm literally just shoving that into that void and trying to bulk that out and fill in that gap as much as I can. I would have been able to save myself all of this hassle if I had just kept the rear of that part, and I'm just filling in any little gaps around the arms and everything else. It's pretty secure now it's all dried. So just going to start dry fitting the Thunderhammer arm, and yeah, that's there. As you can see, I've had to put a little bit of plastic into that socket to allow this arm to have some plastic to attach onto, but yeah, I think it turned out quite well. And at this stage I was feeling a lot more confident about the conversion as a whole, because it started looking pretty good and it was starting to really come into shape and into its own, which I was really starting to be quite happy with. So found myself a studded plastic shoulder pad, perfect, and I'd cut off and cleaned up some of the hip parts and glued them into place, so to kind of hide that messy join around the hip waist area, and getting that shoulder pad glued into place. And then I've got like a nice Salamander tilt plate that came from the Primaris miniature. I took that off its original piece, cleaned it all up, and then I'm going to glue that on as well to sort of give that nice Salamander Praetor feel. And that's it with the test fit with the head, which I'm thinking it's looking really good. So now with the power pack, so obviously I want to keep the 30k power pack over the Primaris one, but I also want that flame thing on the back. So I've cleaned all that up, cut these off, and then just switched it around, and then get it glued into place. And here we are getting it glued in now. So yep, all good, and here he is, all finished, and I am super happy with this. He turned out really well. There's a lot of lessons learned, but I think he's going to look really good, and I've just hidden a little bit more of that mess at the back with a little pouch. So other than the little bit behind the back of the arm, which you won't really see once he's painted, I think he's going to look amazing on the battlefield. So I hope you like him. I really enjoyed doing it. Thank you. So that is it. I am really pleased with this conversion. In my head, it went a lot better than it actually did coming out in the end product. I'm really happy with it. I do think that if I'd have planned this properly and looked at it a little bit better, I wouldn't have removed the back part of the main body, and I would have basically filed it down and molded the scale cloak into it rather than doing it the way I did. It probably would have cost me a lot less green stuff. But more than all, I'm happy with how it looked. It's going to look really cool on the battlefield. I now have a Praetor proud to fight alongside Vulkan, and it's really cool. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it, and I'm tempted to try a little bit more of these really cool conversions in the future. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of paint videos. I'm currently working on the Salamander armor video and Vulkan himself, so lots to stick around for. So you should hit that subscribe button or like this video, drop a comment if you like this, and ring the bell, and I'll see you in the new one. See you later.